iExplore.
Hey everyone, Lucas from iExplore here, and now that I have your attention with a kind of clickbaity title, Inspiration is for Amateurs, what do I mean by that? Well, to be honest, this is the beginning of a quote from an artist whose work I really admire and whose ideas I really respect. His name is Chuck Close, and I'm sure some of you have already heard of him. He's quite well known. He's a modern artist or contemporary artist, painting these big abstract portraits over the last 50, 60 years. And let me read you the quote by him, which is, there's more to it. Inspiration is for amateurs. The rest of us just show up and get to work. If you wait around for the clouds to part and a bolt of lightning to strike you in the brain, you are not going to make an awful lot of work. All the best ideas come out of the process. They come out of the work itself. Now, to be honest, I first was exposed to this quote by Chuck Close in another work of art, a big project called the Wisdom Project by photographer Andrew Zuckerman. This was published about 10 years ago now. And he went around the world, interviewed all kinds of interesting people, and to get these little bits of wisdom. And that was one of the wisdoms or wise ideas from Chuck Close. And then Andrew Zuckerman distills it very wonderfully, very simply into a bite-sized line that creativity is the product of curiosity and rigor. And I like this quote so much, this idea so much, that it's on my business card on the back in Japanese and English. It's on my website in the footer, because that's really very much how I think of my own creativity and how I think of my work. So when people ask me sometimes, how do you get inspired? How do I get ideas? How do I, get creative with my photography? My retort, my answer is always just get out there and do it. You just have to go out and shoot. And by doing that, you will discover things about yourself and about what you're shooting that will lead to creative outcomes. This is especially true even when I find myself in a rut. Let's say I go out for a few days in a row, and every day it's kind of bad. I don't get any good photos, nothing good comes of it. Instead of feeling discouraged and feeling like, oh man, I'm not being creative, I need inspiration, I just remind myself that if I just keep at it, eventually I'm going to discover something interesting. And inevitably that almost always is the case for me. So the moral of the story for me is inspiration, as Chuck Close says, is for amateurs. It's not productive. You just have to get out there and do the work. So we talked about creativity in terms of curiosity and rigor. So you don't need inspiration in the equation. But now I'm going to contradict myself a little bit, and I'm going to say that, but sometimes we do get inspiration. Maybe a better word for it is influence. We end up, all of us, and me included, we end up looking at a lot of other creatives' work, especially in this day and age where it's at the touch of a fingertip, social media, and there's tons of amazing creative content out there, especially in the realm of photography. So it's very easy to get inspired, I guess, in those terms. You don't need it to go out and shoot. You could just be rigorous and you could just, do your thing. You could potentially work in a vacuum, but it's just inevitable that we will get exposed to these other things. And I find that actually, instead of it being a boon, it's kind of a crutch. It can be a pitfall, especially if you end up looking with a lot of work that's already similar to yours, which is what all these online algorithms tend to do. They tend to show you things that you like. So if you like it, you see more of the same thing. So it becomes this kind of echo chamber. And I believe that this is actually detrimental to creativity. It takes away the curiosity aspect of that curiosity plus rigor equation. So what I find I've implemented for myself is a kind of content diet, which is a term I think I stole from somewhere. I don't think I came up with that. So I actually actively will avoid looking at work that's too similar to mine. If I open my Instagram feed, I don't want to see Tokyo city night landscapes and street photography, because that's what I shoot. And there's a little bit of it there. But I would rather see things that are totally different, visual art, painting, this kind of things. And to that end, I look to a lot of other mediums, completely different mediums for ideas and influence, such as, of course, movies and film, which is pretty similar to photography in some ways, but also things like video games, and even non-visual media, such as books, novels of all kinds of genres, and even music. And the genre of music I want to talk about today is something called vaporwave, which I'm sure some of you know, and then I'm sure some of you don't know. But to keep it short, it's basically a kind of music that kind of originated on the internet over the last 10 or so years, especially in the early 10s. And it's a music that samples heavily from other genres, distorts things, and creates these weird kind of audio soundscapes. And to me, in many ways, the music is very much Tokyo. So, I listen to it sometimes. It's pretty cool for me. And when I'm out in the city, I feel some of the feelings that the music evokes when I listen to it, right? So they're kind of connected. And so let me read to you a sort of short summary of what I take from this genre of music. Some of you may not agree, but this is kind of what I feel about it. Vaporwave tends to create an almost satirical sense of nostalgia for past times and places, particularly the 80s and 90s in the US and Japan. Yet Vaporwave distorts these memories of the past as much as it distorts the music it samples. So to me, Vaporwave is about a feeling of nostalgia for something that never really existed beyond our collective imagination. Like a dream you cling to as you wake up, yet can't hold on to, and you're left only with a vague impression. So with that notion of the music, somewhere deep in the back of my mind, there were days where I spent out shooting, being curious about a particular kind of view, which we're going to shoot in just a second, and just spending time on it and being rigorous. And then not only with the shooting, but also experimenting with the editing style and being curious and wondering, what will happen if I try this or this? And as the work kind of came together visually, I realized also that it made sense from the perspective of like an ethos with the Vaporwave music. And so the music and my photos in this series kind of fit together in an interesting way. To the point that I call this series, as an homage to it, I call it Vaporized Memories. Because when I look at my own photos that I create here in this series, I get a weird sense of nostalgia, like a sense that something has been lost. But it's something that's not real, just as my own photos are, in this case, actually very unrealistic, in a deliberate way. Okay, so now I want to shoot some. The light is just about right to create some of these, so we're going to go to one of my favorite spots. I'm going to shoot some of these photos, talk a little bit about the editing, and I hope you appreciate the project. So we're in one of my favorite spots for the kind of photos that I want to do today, and over the years, I just liked shooting the thing that's behind me here. I actually walked by this a million times, and I love how around sunset, actually it's just around sunset, dusk, sunset, especially in this season. So it's now like early spring, it's March now, and then the same time in the opposite time in the autumn, so like November or so. The light around this time of day is just right, where the sun sets, we don't really see the sun anymore. The sky is very bright and very clear, right? And the buildings with the right exposure turn into a silhouette. So, for example, right now I'm shooting this on f11, 100 ISO, and 1/1600th of a second, so very fast, because I want the buildings to be basically black, and I want to see the gradation in the sky. And I've shot this many times with varying settings, brighter, darker, and I just kept exploring this concept until one day I shot so many photos of this that when it came time to edit them, it didn't evoke the feeling that I had by looking at it when I was seeing it on the screen. So I started experimenting with different ways of messing with the colors, and so just in the editing of the raw, by playing with the white balance and the tint and whatnot, I was able to push the colors to extremes to create these, basically not even photos anymore, to create kind of digital art. But everything I said up to now about inspiration, about curiosity, about rigor, and about influence and watching what kind of content you consume, all that stuff culminated in creating this project. The project didn't appear out of nowhere suddenly. I didn't, wake up one morning with this idea, right? I had to go out and fail a lot and play around with the settings, and then also play around with the edit afterward. And in fact, like I said, first I was unhappy with the results until I started to take more extreme approaches, which were kind of influenced by this whole idea of Vaporwave music. And then the resulting project I'm quite happy with, and I'm still working on it. I'm still shooting more and more for this project, like I am today. But yeah, that's kind of the story about how a project like this can arise. Now, something I love that wasn't obvious when I first started doing this, that kind of, was a surprise that came out of the work. Again, through the rigor and the curiosity, I was able to discover some things. In this case, there's a lot of cool stuff happening in the sky. For example, birds flying around, or a distant airplane, which again evokes that sense of kind of longing for something or nostalgia. Where's that plane going? Flying off into the sunset. Sometimes you can see the moon. I got a couple of shots with the crescent moon in the distance there. So by exploring the concept more and more deeply, I was able to discover things that were very surprising, that I never in a million years would have dreamt of just thinking of, just being inspired one day like a bolt from the blue, the way Chuck Close describes it. It only came through the rigor in the work. Okay? And then the influence that I discussed, like for example vaporwave music, but it could have been anything, helped guide me along. But it wasn't the source of the ideas for this project, for the story that I'm trying to tell. Alright guys, so I hope I gave you some inspiration, but not in the sense of giving you ideas of what to shoot. That's entirely up to you, because I can't teach you who you are. Only you can discover that for yourself, especially in terms of your creativity. But I do hope I gave you some inspiration just in terms of more like motivation to get out there and put in the work and explore different things that may or may not interest you. And also to think carefully about how you are influenced by artwork in your environment. What kind of content are you consuming? Is that influencing you in a good way, or is it just driving you into basically like an echo chamber? Okay, so as always, if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. I'd love for this to be an interesting discussion because, you know, I think these kinds of ideas are fun to discuss. I think about them a lot on my own. I discuss them with my friends, so I'd love to discuss them with you guys in the comments as well. Okay guys, and one last thing before I forget, we are planning to do a Q&A in an upcoming video, maybe not the next video, but at some point in the near future. And so in the meantime, we want to compile some questions. So if you have a question that you want to include in a video Q&A, make a note of that in the comments and we'll include that. After we compile maybe like, I don't know, let's say 10 or so questions, we'll make a Q&A video. All right, so thanks for watching. And remember always, challenge your eye.